If you want to sit around, you can do it from home. This isn't my tale, but one of a friend of mine, Craig. This took place about 10 years ago. He worked for an IT company, maintaining the mainframe and other technical needs throughout the building along with electrical safety checks. He was always a bit OCD, and this helped him by being on top of things that were needing sorted. He had custom spreadsheets documenting the last 10 years of repairs on everything he was responsible for. This sheet, by the 5-year mark, had already given him a fairly good idea of what items were likely to fail, either due to updates or physical parts failing due to the 24-hour running of the system. There was a period of a week where he was ahead and decided to get ahead of his upcoming repairs, checking the items and replacing what needed done. 2 weeks later, he was sitting in his office when the VP arrived and on the rounds. She noticed that all 3 times she passed, he was sitting idle in his office. Outraged he was being paid for doing nothing, she had his boss pull him up. "Boss, VP noticed you haven't done much today and pulled your work log for the last few weeks. You've only logged 4 jobs in 2 weeks. Craig, I've been ahead for the last couple weeks just knocking off jobs before they came up to make time for the bigger jobs that are about to come up next week. B, well, you're paid to work, not sit about. If you want to sit about, do it at home. C, shrugging internally, well, I've got some holiday time still to take. If you give me a week to organize the cover and take care of the large jobs, I'll take time off. B, deal. Off you go. Enjoy your holiday. C, but what about the work next week? B, no buts. You're on holiday. Effectively immediately. I'll clear it with HR. Not off you go. Cue malicious compliance. Craig decided to not try and reiterate just how much work was due next week and went on holiday for 2 weeks, turning his work phone off. In that 2 weeks, due to a lack of warning, the tech from another center that usually covered wasn't available. At the same time, there was safety issues, software updates and other minor issues that were expected, not to mention the dozens of unexpected issues that came up. When Monday after his holiday came up, he turned his phone on to find 20+ texts. His phone inbox was full of voicemails and he had dozens of emails from panicking management. He got into work and was set upon. Where have you been? We needed you. X, Y, Z all failed while you were gone and we didn't have cover. Craig smiled and reminded boss about the conversation 2 weeks prior, and also had a coworker that overheard the entire thing back him up. After that, not a single manager dared to question his slow week. Not even the VP. Challenge accepted. Challenge 1. Typical regard for IT. If you're hustling to keep up with issues, they will say you're terrible at your job for having so many issues you need to attend to. If you are on top of them, they will say you're slacking off to avoid work. It's a lose-lose situation when dealing with ID10Ts. There's a story about Henry Ford showing his plant to a guest. When the guest saw an employee sitting at his desk with his feet up on it, the guest asked, "Why do you let him do that?" Quote, and Ford answered, "He was sitting like that when he got an idea that saved the company $1 million. That's how you do management." Typical incompetent management. Everything's running great. Why do we need you? Everything breaking. Why are we even paying you? I always maintain that maintenance IT is like having firefighters, fire marshal on hand. Lots of firefighters are just sitting there waiting for a fire to be put out. If they are good at their job, they get there fast and there is little damage. Even better, the fire marshal figures out there is an issue before it happens and sidesteps the fire completely. IT does the same thing. I was the network engineer for a 20-plus state network of everything from DDS to OC 192 circuits with thousands of endpoints and dual-root redundancy on anything OC3 or larger. I was sitting at my desk screwing off, and a manager that could not get his work done walked by and saw me screwing around. 5 minutes later I'm in the head guy's office. J. 3 layers of management above me. J. Is the board green? M. Yeah. No, circuits are down. We have 2 going live tonight. J. Are any new deployments behind schedule? M. No. We are looking good on turnups for the next few months. J. Go back to whatever you were doing. As I'm walking out, J. tells the manager that if he just worried about his own team, maybe he could get caught up. Boss. When things are running perfectly, what do we even pay you for? Quote, Boss. When things are running terribly, what do we even pay you for? Quote, I get that you guys aren't doing anything from management occasionally. I always reply that every time they get an email or work on a document. That is me and my team working. I love the move of turning off your work phone. I once created a giant spreadsheet with a bunch of formulas and macros for multiple departments to input things in. I didn't even work in any of those departments, and not even in a computer-related field. I was just good with Excel and volunteered to help. I finished it the day before I left for 3-week vacation. I locked all the cells that had formulas or anything important in them. I explained to boss 3 times that I locked the important stuff so no one could screw it up while I wasn't there to fix it. He knew nothing about Excel and took that to mean I locked everyone out of the spreadsheet and no one could use it while I was away for 3 weeks. Got mad and hired his college nephew who was out of state to recreate the whole thing while I was gone. He explained to nephew what he needed over the phone, so no one ever bothered to actually look at the spreadsheet. Boss tried to write me up when I got back for not being a team player. I get paid for what I know, not what I do. Typical working in IT. If you see me doing nothing for a week or 2, mind your business. That means things are working properly. Just goes to show once more, never mess with the arcane styling of IT. Never confuse motion with progress. This is the old IT story. If you are busy in the middle of a firestorm, the boss says, "What am I paying you for?" If it is slow because you are efficient, the boss says, "What am I paying you for?" If you have a good sysadmin, they should be relatively calm and not busy because they are working hard to keep ahead of emergencies. The last thing you want is a sysadmin looking busy or harried. That's got to be one of the primary fatal flaws of being a manager, confusing a lack of motion with not working enough. Managerial sampling error. I was IT support as a tradie at a multinational trading house. Hours upon hours of boredom sprinkled with minutes of sheer terror. We had decent management who understood this. IT was a mix of super smart, mildly stupid and off-the-wall savant nerds who couldn't hold a conversation of regular life. In the server farm and control room it was all business. Outside that nobody messed with them except one self-proclaimed alpha security guard. He played with one of the nerds and was burned by every imaginable pitfall in a newly digital world. Credit cards would be turned on, off. Power, gas randomly shut off. Vehicle, driver's license cancelled. His life turned into a series of life crises. I didn't get to see the end, but he went from a buff strong jawline ex-army sergeant into a overweight depressed ghost of his former self in less than a year. BWAHAHA! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. Rolling on the floor laughing. Where have you been? We needed you. You sent me on annual leave? Craig needed to send VP his spreadsheets. And boss should have listened to Craig.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.